Hey everybody, welcome to Semicolon, the series about to go live in just a second. Soon as we get everybody on. So happy for you guys to me joining us today. Gotcha. So it looks like Matt is on here. About to go ahead and get started with Matt. Yo,
What up, big dog?
what's up, man? How you feeling?
Pretty good. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed. I can't complain, bro.
How's the quality of my video?
It's pretty average, I think. I actually have a ring light on and it's kinda okay, you're good. Can you hear me
Okay.
good?
Yeah, I hear you great.
All right, we wasted about a minute talking about nothing, but that's fine, that's
Hey,
us.
that's life, right?
So hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Hi guys, we're gonna be interviewing Matt Muse today. Matt Muse is a good close personal friend of mine. We've known each other for about 10 years now, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah,
Um, Known each other
man.
since then.
Hooping.
Right. We ended up becoming great friends out of nowhere. Similar backgrounds. So Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Uh, Hi, the people. My name is Matt Muse. I'm a rapper. And yeah, I'm a hip hop artist. I'm a teaching artist for an organization called Young Chicago Authors. So I teach hip hop and poetry in schools and colleges and stuff like that. And when I'm not doing that, I'm rapping. So yeah.
Nice. Avid Sox fan as well. I have on my
Oh
Cubs
yeah.
jersey.
Oh,
Can
that's
you
disrespectful.
see it? All
I
right.
can't, even if you hold it up, I don't want to see it. It's okay.
It's fine.
How are you a Cubs fan, bro? Like what?
Um, hey, it just happened. It runs in the
All right.
family.
Oh, there you go. It's usually the black answer to why when black people are Cubs fans.
Right. So
My
let's get
dad's a Cubs
into
fan.
it. You basically, let's get into it. I want to start off, man. Let's talk about the TED Talk that you had a few years ago at NIU.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about that because that really inspired me. So I want to let you go ahead and talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll have a little bit back and forth about it.
Yeah. So you're referring specifically to the clip that I posted, or just the whole you did?
The whole thing, but more specifically the clip.
Yeah, so I did a TED Talk in 2016 entitled Hip Hop Heaven. If you want to see it, it's on YouTube. Just type in Matt Muse TED Talk. But part of the intro to the TED Talk was telling people the story of how hip hop saved my life, literally. And so to kind of open up the conversation about this broader conversation about how hip hop has been a heaven for me and how I think it could positively change the world, I told the story of a time in 2012 when I was going through some very serious depression issues, mental health issues. Like I was just really down about a lot of different things, and um decided it was really interesting. I had two jobs I hated. I worked at the photo booth in Walmart
Mm.
and I worked at Ross. And like Ross was decent, but the photo booth in Walmart was the absolute most painful job I've ever worked in my life. And it was because it was just the manager and me working there, and the manager she was just like, "Yo, you got to do all the work when I'm not here." So I was
Mm.
basically a manager, and I didn't know how to take pictures. I knew nothing about that. They just hired me and was making me do shit.
Right.
um, and I think that coupled with a lot of other stuff that was happening just had me really down. And I dealt with the sadness kind of that whole summer, but it kind of came to a head one day when I got off work and I was like, yo, I'm quitting this job. But I also was like, yo, like, I don't really want to be here. And like, I think
Mm.
that when people think about like suicidal thoughts, I don't know how it is with other folks, but I know for me, it's never a thing where it's like, for me, it's never been a thing rooted in self hate
Mm.
where it's like I want to die. It's more so been like I don't want to be here. And when you have those drastic thoughts, it goes to a point of, well, how can I? There's only one way to not be here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so that was the thought I was having. So I came home, and when I walked in the house, my friends, it was a bunch of my friends in the house. I had two roommates, and they invited a couple of our friends over. And it was the day, I believe, it was the day after, or like the day that "Click" by Kanye West dropped. And my friend Ashley was like, yo, you got to hear this song. And we had it upstairs. So I was going straight, came in the crib straight to my room. That was my goal.
Right.
And they were in the living room. And she's like, no, you got to hear this song. I'm like, I don't want to hear this. Like, I want to go to my room. She's like, no, like, it's Kanye West and Jay-Z. And she knows those are my two favorite rappers. It's the year after Watch the Throne. Like, I was always talking about them. And so I was like, fuck it. I'll just take a second to listen to it. And the line in the song, in Kanye's verse, I went through deep depression when my mama passed. Suicide, what kind of talk is that? And it was just such a surreal moment because it felt like I was forced to listen to the song just so I could hear those 2 bars of music. And because of the surrealness of the moment, I was like, yo, that's a message. You know what I'm saying? At the time, you know, I was like, yo, God, you really working right now. You know what I'm saying? And I really didn't know what made it happen, but the occurrence was like, I was speechless when I heard it. And I know for a minute afterwards, I was just sitting there like, yo, like, how the fuck did he just put out this song with this exact lyric, exactly addressing this thing that I, you know, was feeling today? And
he works in mysterious ways.
Right. And so at that moment, I was like, yo, like, I can't do this. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it made me kind of turn to alternative ways to handle what I was going through because I couldn't think about suicide. Like, what type of talk is that? Was like, yo, that was a message for me. And so I took that as a message and, you know, chose to look into more positive ways to deal with the sadness that I was going through at that time.
Right. I got you. So was that like the one and only like instance like where you felt like mentally down where you were just like, this is it, like I don't want to do it like no anymore, or was there like any other occurrences after that or beforehand?
That was the most severe. I think that there have been other times both prior and since that I've dealt with like that, you know, sadness, depression type thing. But I think that was the first time I was like, yo, okay. And even it was a situation that happened earlier that summer where my dad kind of sat me down and was like, yo, I see your sadness. Like it was the type of depression where I wasn't eating, bro. Like I would sleep for 13, 20 hours a day. And my dad, it was summertime. So my dad was like, yo, like you're not being yourself. And I see it very, very vividly. Over the summer between school, I would play Madden with my dad every day. I would be hooping outside. Like I was active. And so once my father saw that I wasn't being active, he was like, yo, go do this, go do that. These are ways to kind of work on that. And then when it came to a head that day, listening to the song, I was like, okay, what are more ways I can get involved on my campus? What are more ways that I can do stuff at school that can play into the things that I love so that I can feel loved and kind of have that shut down the sadness. And I think since then, like I'm a human being. So of course I've had, you know, negative emotions and been down, but it has never been nearly as severe. And I've never like had a specific moment where I was like, yo, this is about to happen since then. But I've definitely dealt with being sad and depressed since then. Yeah.
I got you. That's dope. And I'm glad like your dad like actually see it. Cause it's like sometimes when you're going through that, people like never see that you're like actually going through it. Like for instance, like with me, like everybody reached out and was like, man, I had like no idea. And it's good when somebody can actually like see that and be like, yo, like I could tell you not being yourself, especially like coming from your dad, another black man, like your father figure, which is, I mean, you know, coming from where we come from, a lot of people don't grow up with dads, and if they do, they're not like that. They don't care, like it's whatever, you being soft, you being a bitch, like stuff like that. So it's like good that like your dad actually, you know, felt that and was just like, yo, son, like you not
you gotta get it together, brother.
You gotta get out of this mode. That's dope. So like what's so do you just pretty much use music as therapy now, or is it like it's always been there, but since then have you just used it like as therapy, like just to help yourself out, like when you're going through it?
I try not to use that terminology because my mother is a therapist. And I genuinely believe in the actual art of therapy. Like I actually think that it's super important for everybody to go to therapy.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. Can you hear me? Technical difficulties?
It was tweaking. I think that, I hear you. I think that my music has been therapeutic though, definitely. I think
Mm,
that when I get into the mode of just creation, it's always uplifting and it's beneficial to my spirit. But what I will say though is since that moment, a lot of the sadness that I've kind of experienced has been in direct relation to this grind of music. And
okay.
so I think that when you're trying, when you're working towards something, and you know it's hard when you're an independent artist and
Right.
a starving artist, you know. And I think that when you're trying to just see what works and it doesn't feel like a lot of things are working, that has caused a lot of my sadness. But when I ignore all of that and I just focus on the art, it
Mm,
definitely feels good. And I listen to music all day, every day. Like there is not a moment where I'm not walking around singing or playing music. So I think music in itself has always been a positive influence on my mood. Um, I wouldn't say I use my music as therapy though, but I definitely
mm.
think that music has been therapeutic.
I actually, and I'm glad like you touched on that, because your music is like therapy per se,
Mm, hmm
and like I think more specifically, I think the song that probably touched me more than anything was when you dropped Myself, which is like I've
Yeah,
heard literally like everything that you've probably ever released.
yeah,
Um, and Myself is just like such a beautiful song because like no matter the time of day, if I put that song on, I'm like instantly in a good mood. And it's just and then like when I put people onto that song, I make them watch the video
mm,
because the video puts it more into perspective what the song is actually about, how beautiful like
yeah,
it is. And like if y'all haven't, just whenever y'all get a chance, go to YouTube, type in Matt Muse Myself.
yeah.
um I want you to kind of talk about that song a little bit because it's like by far like I literally just listened to it before we got on here too.
Love.
And it's like literally about loving yourself. So it
Yeah,
makes me feel good every time I listen to it. So kind of go into like detail about that song.
yeah. And for anybody who hasn't heard the song, the link to it is actually in my bio. The video is in my bio. But yeah, that song was a song that kind of just happened off the top of
Mm,
my head. So I linked up with one of my producers. This was kind of when Love and Happiness, the idea was kind of in the very beginning of the work
mm,
of his works. And he played a beat, and instantly the first thing the beat made me feel was uh, self love. Like the line in the verse the first line I ever came up with for the whole song was, so I walked by the mirror and it said what's to it, ooh shit, damn I look good. Like
right.
I just pictured this song with me standing in the mirror rapping to myself about how much I love myself. So that was
Mm,
kind of where it came from. And then with the concept of the album being every song on the EP is about a different type of love, this song and Ain't No are both about self love, but Ain't No is a very braggadocious, like typical, like I'm gonna talk my shit, I'm a rapping ass Southside nigga, you know what I'm saying? And
right.
to me, that was the easy one. The more difficult one was the one that spoke to all my insecurities. And I
Mm,
was like, I don't want to just put out, because to me, Nappy Talk is what Ain't No is. It's all about me talking shit. So I was like, there's a lot of vulnerabilities in my person that I still
mm,
have never spoke on in my music. And so myself represents me speaking on all the times I haven't been confident, all the times I
right.
have doubted myself, all the times I haven't felt like I was that nigga. Um, Even all the times I've talked shit to mask some insecurities. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I was like, yo, I need to just make a real ass song about what the real feelings are outside of the bragging shit. And that's where myself came from. And then the video, I came up with the video as soon as I made the song, and it was just like, yo, I just want to make a video where I'm going on dates with myself.
Right.
Um, and to represent self love both figuratively but literally, like the idea of the girl representing a distraction from self love, I think that happens to us a lot. We use relationships to fill the void that exists from not knowing and loving ourselves. And
Mm,
so and I think the divorce rate is so high in this country because so many people use relationships for things that they're not supposed to be used for.
right.
And I in the past have used relationships and have been a negative partner in the past because I didn't fully love myself. And
Yeah.
so that beginning little intro where I'm like, Shorty, I'm gonna get back to you at the end of the day, but me and myself, we gotta have some time together. And then the
Right.
line is I don't want to hurt you, baby, but I've been thinking to myself, how I'm gonna love you, baby, if I don't even love myself. And
Right.
that's real. You cannot. I genuinely think it is impossible to have a successful relationship if the both of you have not figured out yourselves first. And so many
Mhm.
young Black folks are both deterred from seeking mental health resources, but are also pushed toward relationships so fucking much. Like, we've been watching Disney
Mhm.
movies since day one. We watch all of these fucking shows, like movies like Love and Basketball, where
Right.
this toxic ass nigga is making this girl chase him, you know what I'm saying? Brown Sugar, like movies I love, but that are rooted in pushing this agenda of love on us
Mhm.
when that we don't have a lot of influences to love ourselves as well. And so the song was kind of
Right.
trying to be an entertainment, medium within the entertainment world that told people self-love was important, especially when it's sitting next to a relationship. You cannot be in a relationship until you've addressed the issue of self-love first.
This is very true. Because if you like, just like you said, literally in the song, "How I'm gonna love you, baby, if I don't even love myself." If
Mm-hmm.
you sit there, it's so that's so, and I pretty much tweet that line like once a month. I don't tag you in it, by the way. My bad.
You don't have to. It's okay. I'm glad. I'm glad people seeing it. That's what matters.
Right. And it's just so dope because like if you don't even like literally if you don't love yourself, you literally can't fully love someone else.
Yeah, because you don't even know what that shit is.
Right.
Like,
If
yeah,
you don't even like if you don't take care of yourself, you don't love you, which is the number one. It's you think that you love someone else and you actually don't. Like you said, you're trying to make up for that by loving them instead of
yeah,
like actually loving yourself. And we've all been like in relationships where like it wasn't the best situation and
yeah,
we learned from it. And like you said, it's like it is somewhat forced on us.
yeah.
um so like speaking of love, like you grew up, how long were your parents married for?
They were married, 25 years,
Okay.
2024.
Okay.
Let me think.
Cause
How they got 2017, 26 years.
okay. And I find that dope because like, you know, my people that know me, people that know my dad know like the whole situation. I didn't
Right,
grow up in a household
right,
where
right.
I had two parents at the same time loving each
Yeah.
other. Kind of like talk to how like that was growing up, and then like talk about like how like the divorce like with like how you felt like afterwards. Like walk like talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah. So my parents were married from the day I was born until I was 25.
Okay.
So I my whole upbringing involved a two-parent household. They were never separated when I was in the house. Like literally my every day of my life, my parents were together. Um, and it was beneficial in a lot of ways. Like that was all I knew. Like it was
Hmm.
folks at school. I would go to school and I would see the amount of people. Like I was in this special program called International Baccalaureate in high
Okay.
school, and it was like
I know
this.
about that.
Yeah, it was like this really difficult like college prep program that you had to do your entire high school career. And
Hmm.
so it was like 50 or 60 of us in the program. And I vividly remember like majority of those 60 people did not come from two-parent households. It was
Hmm.
maybe like three of us who had both of our parents married in the crib. And so that kind of showed you how rare it was just from that small sample size. Morgan Park had 1,000 people,
Hmm.
so I just wonder if you go every 60 people, if it's only 3 out of 60, that shows you how many people in the school probably had the same situation. Um, it was just love, bro. I grew up in love. I just did this little interview the other day where they asked kind of what my upbringing was like, and all I could think about was love and music. Like my parents showered us with love. They didn't
Hmm.
let us say the word hate. Like when we fought, me and my siblings, we could never say I hate you. We could never say nothing like that. We could curse
Hmm.
first before we said the word hate.
Right.
Um, they didn't let us disrespect people. Disrespect was a big no-no. And that was big from both my parents and all of my grandparents. You would not disrespect nobody. And I think that the example of my parents overall was positive, because I always looked to build with the people around me, both relationship wise and friendship wise. I saw my parents build. I saw them
Hmm.
go from living in a townhouse to having a home. And then when that didn't work out, finding an apartment. Like they always built together. And so I
Hmm.
think building it and unity and family was just always a big deal because they were together all the time.
That's real. That's definitely like that's
Oh,
dope.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and I think with the separation, so they separated in 2017. Now, if the relationship was real, the separation was real. So my parents separated when I was 25. When I was 16, 15 maybe, they came to us and told us that they were having some issues and that they might separate. And I
Mhm.
vividly remember I like vehemently like denied that shit. I was like, there's my siblings were quiet. I was like, no, fuck that. I didn't say fuck that, but in my head, I'm like, fuck that. But I told them, I was like, no, y'all been together for blah, 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 blah. We don't do divorce in this house. That's not gonna happen. 15-year-old me. Called my best friend, talked for 2 hours about how I couldn't believe that shit was gonna happen. Fast forward 10 years later, when they actually do decide to get separated, I was happy. And the reason I was happy and still am is because I do not believe in forcing anything. I don't
Mhm.
care if we talking about relationships. I don't care if we talking about your job. Forcing things to me is what makes them crumble even more. You know what I'm saying? Like if you think
Message.
about when you play Jenga, right? And you got the block stacked up, right? When you don't have that smooth hole to put it in and you try to like do too much, that's what makes the whole you dig fall down. Or when you try to pull the
Right.
piece out and you're not gentle with it, and instead you that's what makes it collapse. And I think that can be applied to their relationship where I'm like, yo, of course I want y'all to be together. But if
Mhm.
if one of the two of y'all is like, yo, this is not working, as adults, it's better for y'all to just not do it. And I think that's always been my viewpoint. I understand that there are emotions involved and that I will never understand because they've been together from before I was here. But I'm always going to stand on the side of if one or two of y'all ain't feeling it, why force it? Especially after 26 years. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
just like, yo, y'all did what y'all had to do. It's a new chapter now.
Right. That's so dope though. That like, yeah, because like when you get older, you start to realize a lot of stuff like that.
Yes. Hmm.
Because I was like my parents, I don't have any like memories of my parents like ever being together. So I pretty much
Mm,
like grew up like that. And
mm,
as a kid, I kind of like retaliated because like some people did have like parents and
mm,
like both parents in the household or their parents were
hmm.
married. So I would like
Hmm.
I would act out, lash out. But then it's like I got older, you start to realize like when I like look back on it, like I don't even see how my parents had me because their
How it worked,
personalities,
right?
right? Because their personalities clash so much, and I was just
Literally.
like, I would never want to live in a household where both of them were parents. But it's just
Yeah.
amazing. Like when we get older, we start to realize stuff
Yep.
like that. That like we don't like we think that's what we want, but like
We
when
think
we
it's
get
sweet, but
older,
then yeah.
right, we think the grass
And,
is greener. But if it would have happened, it would have been hell.
and even having like peers who have gone through stuff like that, who've had kids, you know what I'm saying, already, or who have tried marriage, like you see, like, oh, like my parents had me at like what 20, 23, and 20, 25.
Mhm.
Like I'm older than my parents were when they had all three of us at this point, and I still ain't got
Right,
no kids. And I'm
right.
just like, if you tried to tell me, 22-year-old me or 25-year-old me to try to stay with some girl that I wasn't feeling, I like fuck out my
Mhm.
face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so just looking back on it, yeah, you're right. It's just like, yo, we just were in a different space. 16-year-old me would never understand what a 25-year-old, and my parents were in their 30s at that time, but what a 25-year-old or a 30-some-year-old is going through in a relationship. What up, Fresh?
Exactly.
Church.
Uh, um. Yeah, that's dope. And I never knew that your mom was a therapist either.
Yeah, she's
Because
a
I know you,
psychologist.
okay, and I know your dad he was a producer at some point, or
Yeah,
still
he
is.
still he still writes and produces house music. So my mom's a marriage and family therapist, and my dad produces and writes house music.
That's kind of dope. That's kind of okay. So, like, I'm pretty sure. How was it growing up as your mom being a psychology? Like, what was like a psychologist? What was that like? Because I'm pretty sure she used a lot of tactics on you that like you probably didn't even know that like she was using on you.
You know what? I don't think she did. From what I know,
Mm,
what I think she did, what the benefit of it was, my parents talked to us about everything. There was
mm,
not a question that I asked my parents that they ever said, "Oh, we can't talk about that." And beyond that,
okay.
because my mother was a marriage and family therapist, and she also taught sex psychology and like sex whatever in college,
Hmm.
once we started asking questions about sex, they was like, fuck it, we gonna talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead of kind of like sheltering us and putting us in a box about both sex and relationships, they were like, actually, y'all want to know? I'm gonna tell you. And because she was so well versed in it from school, she had
Hmm.
all the facts. Like, and I think that when your parents are open about those things,
Hmm.
your desire to rebel and kind of do it to learn is lessened heavily. And so
Right.
because I knew it from my parents, I never really was like, oh, I'm finna go wild out, or oh, I'm finna go try to jump into every relationship. Like relationships are a necessity. It was just like,
Right.
no, Shorty's cool and she fine. What's up? Like that's what would start a relationship for me. But yeah, I think she was super open, super
Hmm.
honest. Um, if my parents ever lied to me, I still don't know. So like
Right.
shows you how good they were at it. But yeah, like growing up with her in the house, doing that, it also made me want to be a psychologist. So when I first got to college, my first major was psychology because kind of watching her do it made me really interested in it.
I got you. That's dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you switch to? What did you switch your major to afterwards?
I graduated with corporate communications.
Okay, cool. That's dope though. So, have you ever been to therapy before?
Mm-mm.
Okay, and like even when
Not
you,
yet.
not yet.
No, no, I'm
Okay,
about to go. Like literally now, I'm about to start.
okay. So, what was the thing that made you like kind of say like, man, I should probably start going to therapy, or what was that went off in your head that was like, let's go to therapy?
Um, I think that during my college career, the influences around me really kind of taught me the importance of knowing yourself
Hmm.
and being super intentional about understanding who you are, and moving with the knowledge of self. And so since, college, I've been super, super in tune with my physical self,
Hmm.
my emotional state, and my mental self. And whenever I'm experiencing a thing, I always, always, always get to the root of it immediately. I've never like had a feeling, and that real answer has been, I don't know why I feel this way. If I feel something, I know exactly what it is, and I'll probably tell you why I feel that way immediately. Um, and so I've always been equipped with the tools to kind of dig deep and find that. But now I want to be equipped with the tools to, if I know the root, how do I get to the top of the tree and like plant it completely? So what's the
Hmm.
solution? So like if I know that I'm struggling with um anxiety related to music stuff, right?
Hmm.
If I go to a therapist and tell them about the things that I've been feeling, I believe that a therapist can equip me with tools and practices and uh, necessary what's the word? Fuck, like things to do, whatever.
Right.
Horrible English, but like ways, yeah, ways to combat those feelings when they pop up. So my goal with going to therapy is to first of all just kind of openly express a lot of the things that
Hmm.
I'm feeling, but to also equip myself with the tools to overcome whatever bumps that I may run into. And everybody I know that's gone to therapy has always had positive feedback about it. So I'm like, I don't think you have to be going through a crisis to seek out a
Hmm.
therapist. I think that it might just be helpful to have somebody who doesn't know you to talk to evaluate you and your feelings from a very unbiased perspective, and that's why I want to go to therapy.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at Western we have, I can't remember what class it was that I took, but one of the course requirements was you had to have a session with the on-campus therapist, which I think
Hmm.
is like really dope. And when I did that, and like just to go back on like what you said, you don't have to go. Just like if you're not like when you're not going through something, you can still go. It
Yeah.
just felt good just to like talk to someone like randomly like that wouldn't judge me, and I applaud Weston for doing that. And it's
Yeah.
just so dope. Hold up. It's
Hallelujah.
right. And yeah, Peaches, that was, oh yeah, that was like a freshman year class. They make you do that, and it feels so much better just to like go and sit to talk to someone. And you realize like so many different things, and you learn like little tips and tricks and um things like that. And I feel where you're coming from when it comes to like going to therapy now. I haven't been to my therapist in a while, but she's
Hmm.
dope as hell. She's a younger black lady. She's like our age, and it's kind of hope like I kind of like that we come from the same background, and she kind of like has the same experience that I've had in some ways that like kind of make me feel better about everything. And if you guys want to ask any questions, feel free to
please drop questions.
Questions. I think we got like 30 minutes left because Instagram Live kicked me out last time.
Yeah, you got an hour.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. So let me ask you this. Why is there like a stigma that black men or like just let's start with the black man. Why do black men not like self-care, like going to therapy? Like let's tackle that topic to help people out. And for anybody wondering, this is water that I'm drinking because I'm parched.
Well, you in your house, you can drink what the fuck you want. But I mean, I think it's toxic masculinity. I don't know the dictionary definition of that phrase, but basically, it's like
if someone's on here right now, if you guys could drop the definition of toxic masculinity, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, the way I define it, the way I look at it is there's a systematic and long-standing ideology that men have to be the leaders and the rulers of everything, specifically white men. But because of kind of how, we ended up in this country, a lot of those things got passed on to men in general. And I think that, especially if you look at the way that times were in the 60s and the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you know what I'm saying? Like, the man was positioned to be the head of the household and to lead the family. And to be this, like, macho motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, who didn't take L's. And so if society is building up this ideology that not only do you have to be a leader, but you can't lose when being a leader, then of course men are going to grow up with these ideas that I can't show emotions, I can't have feelings, I can't die, I can't get sick, fuck a hospital. You know what I'm saying? Which is the dumbest shit. But like, why go to a hospital when I'm that nigga? Like, why get therapy when I don't have emotions? And I think it's rooted in that toxic masculinity piece that tells men that they can't feel and they shouldn't. That tapping into your emotions and feeling them is weakness. And I think that's kind of where it's rooted in. And I think that even now, I think things have changed a whole lot. But I think that even now, I ain't gonna lie too, I think niggas be trying to impress women. And that's a personal thing. Like, I think that everything is about shit. In 2020, everything is about impressing something else instead of tapping into yourself, whether it's from social media. And I think social media is the main culprit. But even when I posted that clip of my TED Talk, bro, I was so scared to post that. Even though I had done the TED Talk 4 years ago and it had been to the public, I've never, ever shared like that story to my Instagram following or my social media following. And I know hella people were going to see that and see a different side of me. And something that ended up happening that I didn't want to happen was people see that and not read the caption and think it was something going on right now. And it happened. Hella people like start messaging me. And I appreciated it because it was like, yo, that's love regardless. But I had to kind of throw all of that to the side and say, the goal of this is to speak to people who haven't had the courage to come out and talk about this yet. So put the bullshit to the side and talk about what's real, nigga. You really went through that shit. Why not talk about it? And that's a mission that I've been on. And I think, like I said, I think the reason that exists. I appreciate you too. I'm glad you could feel that. And I appreciate anybody who like felt that clip and, you know what I'm saying, like really gave it the time and the necessary minute it took or whatever to watch it and to read the caption. But yeah, like, men are told that they can't feel. And I think that whether it's told very directly or it's told by influences in the media, like that's kind of why it's like that.
Right. And I'm so glad because actually, and going back to the TED Talk, when the video first hit YouTube, I just watched it as like I'm supporting my friend.
Yeah.
And then when I watched it, I was just like, damn, that's crazy. Like, this is
Mm.
like my brother that like I'm watching. Like it was a great TED talk, and that like
Thank
that
you.
one that one piece will like always stick with me just because like it's like we don't talk about that shit at all. Like we told
Yeah,
like nah, it's like bro, you tripping, stop complaining, like all that type of stuff like that, and like to
yeah,
go back to like what you said, like it's like society putting this ideology on us that like we're the head of the household, we can't show weakness, and
yeah.
I think that's like pure and utter bullshit. Like at the end
I
of the
agree.
day, you're you're a human. Like you're a human at the end of the day, and you have emotions. And like I just feel like black men is just as a whole, we need to do better and just leave like you said that one toxic masculinity. We need to get rid of that shit quick, and then
Yeah,
you just need to love yourself at the end of the day. And
yeah. And I think that my dad always showed emotions. My dad was never the type of dude that would, I mean, from what I know, was sitting
mm,
around holding shit in, and then like my dad always said how he felt, and so I think that was a good influence once again from the crib
mm,
to kind of you know,
right, and that's dope because like we come from two different households, and like in my household,
yeah,
like
your dad.
like my dad is like that. He's the
I'm
macho.
still
I
scared of your dad. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
bro, I'm scared of my dad too, and I'm 28. Like uh he and I'm my goal is to have my dad on here one day, so you guys
Hey,
can
more power
actually
to you,
see.
bro.
Yeah, my dad is very macho. I've only seen my dad cry twice in my life.
Mm,
We've been to a bunch of funerals together, have never seen my dad cry.
wow.
Even at my grandmother's funeral, his mother, he got up and spoke and didn't shed like not one tear.
Mm,
I think he has it like where he just like he's like the epitome of like what you said, like macho,
yeah,
like I hold it in. And it's just like when I grew up, I kinda thought like I kinda thought that was what it was like supposed to be like, but like me and him are two different people. I'm emotional as hell. Like I
yeah,
cry, like I go through it, like all of that shit. Him on the other hand, it's different. But sometimes it's kind of good to see that, but at like the same time, you kind of grow up and you grow up on your own and just realize like that's just the way the person is. But
yeah.
one thing my pops did do is we went to counseling when I was I think in eighth grade, which is like what you don't really see is like we went to family counseling,
Mm,
which you don't really see in like the community at all, for real, for real.
yeah,
Like if you
yeah,
go into counseling, like we this is like put it out there, like all black people say that's white people shit. Like we don't
yeah,
do stuff like that, which is what's killing our community now is stuff like that.
yeah.
Just that basic way of thinking. I mean, so let me ask you this: like, what do you do besides like I know like music is kind of like your thing. What's like some other things that you do for like self-care and therapy that like if you're in a bad mood, like instantly I just do this and I feel better.
Yeah. Um, what do I do for self-care? I think one thing is uh a source of therapy for me has been sports, both actively being involved in it, but also like
Hmm.
watching it. Sports like is so fucking dope to me and it makes me happy.
Right.
Um, when I was in school, when shit would get stressful, I mean, bro, I'm telling you, I was at the rec hooping 4 or 5 hours, 4 days out of the week. I would go in there after I got out of class at 3 and I wouldn't leave till 7, 8.
Okay.
Um, for maybe every day during the week. That was a weekday. Um, and I know like at the time it was just like, yo, I love hooping, blah, 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 right? But once
Right.
I got out of school and I didn't have that access to that, I was like, oh, like it was more than just basketball. It was a source of exercise, number
Hmm.
one, but it was also a source of like fun and community. Like I made so many homies from the rec, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I would say sports is one thing, exercise. Hey Alex. Another I think another source of therapy for me is just being in community. I love socializing. I love people at my own pace. But like I love
Right.
being around the people, right? I love being around the people that I love. And I wasn't always social. Like that didn't happen until I got to college when I really became a social person.
Hmm.
But I realized how dope, like I was so anti parties before that. Then I kind of started partying. I remember I threw a party for my 21st birthday and that shit was fucking amazing. And I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Let's like hang out with people. Let's like be social. And I made
Right.
so I knew everybody, every black person at NIU. I knew them in some capacity because socializing was such a key thing for me. Um, I love playing. I don't play video games.
Hmm.
I play, and if any of y'all judge me, whatever. But I play Pokemon, and I have like avidly been playing Pokemon since like 2001. And I realized recently, I was like, yo, this is the only video game I return to. And it's a sense
Hmm.
of like nostalgia and like happiness for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. I collect shoes. Uh,
I see you.
yeah,
I
that's
would,
the thing.
no, I feel you.
I
I will never judge a person for doing what makes them happy.
Yeah, bro.
But
Like I also you can write that shit off your taxes when you're a rapper. So like I can literally say that this is contributing to my to my personal appearance for my music. So that's the thing. And I think there's obviously more on the spot. It's a little difficult to kind of think about routines. I know since this COVID
Mhm.
thing started, I've been going on walks. I never went
Okay.
on a walk just to go for a walk before, and I've been going on hella walks since we've been stuck in the crib, and it's been really,
Yeah.
really, really. That's been the best source of like therapy that I've had. You know,
Oh yeah.
that
I've
and
been
talking to
going.
my friends on FaceTime and shit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely those walks are something else now, dog. It's
yeah,
like
bro.
it's something we took
I
for
never
granted.
ever. And like I've been watching old people and my grandparents go on walks my whole life, and I was just like, oh, why the fuck y'all want to go on a walk? And like, yo, the first time I went on a walk, bro, I was like, yo, this shit is fucking
Right.
amazing. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. I mean, and you live in a great neighborhood to do that too, as well. You know.
you can't be telling
Yeah.
the people. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't name the specific
That's
neighborhood. I was
fair.
like,
That's fair. That's fair.
Dexter lives in Westtown. Everybody.
Right.
Um. So
Yo, I
yeah, you
fucking hate
funny.
West Town. Just to throw it out there, West Town is my least favorite neighborhood in Chicago.
Wow, that was some
Yeah.
deep rooted hatred there.
No, I hate it.
I got you. And going back to sports, side note, your
Yeah,
birthday is coming. Your birthday is in June,
July.
July. I knew it was one of those J months. We still
Yeah.
have that bet going on, and I hope you've
I
been
think that it should
training.
be postponed. I think it
I,
should be
I
postponed.
we'll talk about that off camera. So yeah,
I
you're
tried
funny.
to
So
jump and touch my ceiling today, and I was like, ooh. I was like,
yeah,
ooh, we'll see if I'll
uh,
be dunking on the 30th. We'll see.
so for those that you don't know, Dexter put up I'm sorry, Matt put up a post. This is such a sidebar, and me and him are like
It's fine.
essentially
You can
best
tell it.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he put up a post saying that he'll be dunking by his birthday. This year, he said
July
he'll
30th.
dunk July 30th. He'll be able to dunk. Did you say one hand or two? Or does it matter?
I didn't say, yeah, I just said I'll be able to dunk.
Okay, and I think we bet 500 or 300.
500.
Okay, yes. And me
Yeah.
being as broke as I am, I bet on that because I knew it wasn't gonna happen. So
You tripping.
yeah,
So here's
hey,
the deal,
oh
bro.
man, I hate when it
Whoa.
does that. Yeah,
Here's the deal,
sorry,
bro.
I'm trying to.
I I really genuinely believed and still believe that it can happen. The problem is this COVID shit just fucked up. I was literally going to the gym. I was like, damn, now I gotta prove something to niggas. I was going to the gym. I was doing my fucking calf raises. I was doing box jumps. I was doing everything.
Right.
And then this COVID shit kind of closed all the gyms and fucked me up. But you know, I might still, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
No, it's
I might
fine.
actually say fuck it and try to do it anyway. We'll
Well,
see.
I'll be looking for that date. So before we get off, I got like two more questions I want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
ask. Um,
And
what
remember, if
has
the people, anybody on here got a question, y'all can ask
right?
too.
What has been like your music journey? Like, what has it been like, and how has it like weighed on your mental health from when you first like from even when like I was like I want to rap with you from like
Yeah.
that point to like now? What have you learned about yourself on this journey? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? And like how has it weighed on you like mentally?
I'll start with the negative, end on a good note. I think that the main things that I've learned, you know, is that this is with anything, not just music, but a lot of things. There's a lot of smoke screens, man. A lot of stuff is just
Hmm.
not, you know, what you think it is, like, or what it say. I owe you a feature. Uh, I'm like, who is this? But,
Oh
okay.
man, I hate him
A
so
lot.
much.
a lot of shit is also, if whatever, if you need it, I got you. A lot of stuff is just not, you know, what I thought it would be. And I think that that's kind of been the most, that kind of just sums up pretty much any negative thoughts I have about pursuing music. Like if you grow up only listening to and believing the songs and the music videos, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. And I think that I, you know, thought that somebody was going to just find me. You know what I'm saying? I always had a 16 ready for the day that I met the famous nigga who was going to sign me and change my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For a long time, that was my ideology, you know, because you think about the way J. Cole got signed. He gave Jay-Z a CD on the street. You know what I'm saying? You think about stories like that, or Kanye rapping in the studio. But what you don't hear about is, how did Kanye even end up in the studio with Jay-Z? How did he even end up being the producer for Jay-Z? How did J. Cole even end up being in the position to be in the same city as Jay-Z to give him that CD? And I think that a lot of this grind does not involve enough people telling that part of their story, and involves too much of the part that's worth reposting or putting in an article, which is that Kanye stood on the table and Jay-Z signed him right there. You know what I'm saying? But people don't talk about the fact that Kanye was rapping in Chicago long before, and producing for Chicago niggas long before Jay-Z asked him to do the blueprint. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think that's the most negative, and just kind of adjusting to that reality where it's just like, oh, it's not going to happen overnight. This is a grind, a continuous grind. Even when you get on, you still have to grind. I would say the positives are just like, I'm able to do what the fuck I want to do. Like, I always was afraid of having to work a job for a specific reason, you know, and not being able to do the job that I wanted. And I'm in a very unique and special position where, even at the very beginning stages of my career, music is the sole reason why I'm able to pay my bills, you know, because of my work with YCA, and because of other dope opportunities like the sync licensing, things like that, you know, that are very small baby steps to the bigger goal of getting the music worldwide. But, you know, my shit being in a movie, it's cool for an Instagram post, and it's cool for y'all to know that. But that shit has fed me. It's been times where I had no money, and the stream, I don't check my stream like money. I just let it sit there. I don't ever go and look at it. But it's been multiple times where I haven't had food, you know what I'm saying? I haven't had bill money, and I go to check my stream money. I'm like, oh, damn, niggas been listening. You can click and see, like, monthly how many people played your shit, but also the money is right there. And it's like, yo, I've been able to pay my bills off this shit, and that was always the goal. So that's probably been the most positive thing.
I get you. And to go on that, I'm pretty sure you have a lot of highlights like that come from it that just generally make you happy. Tell everybody about the because you've been, not only that, like, your music was featured on Ball in the Family, the Ball Brothers show, and the movie. I forgot the name of the movie. Can you tell everybody about it?
Big Time Adolescence. It's okay. Right. Big Time Adolescence on Hulu.
Okay. So what's like? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So what's like? What would you consider your like the one thing from like all of this so far that has made you the happiest? Like, what's your one career highlight that just makes up for all the negative and like make you like just be like, yo, this is worth it?
I have two. One is premiering the Myself video at the Apple Store. So we premiered Myself at the Apple Store on Michigan Avenue, downtown Chicago, on August 9th. And it's a post about it on my page if you scroll down a little bit. But yo, like, I directed that video, and that video existed here. You know what I'm saying? And within a matter of months, it went from being here to on that big ass screen at the Apple Store, you know? Oh, what up, Rich? What up, Rich? Sending you love, Rich. Hope you've been good. But yeah, premiering that video at the Apple Store was just great. Like, you just got this nigga dancing on the fucking big ass wise fucking people in there buying their phones and shit, you know. And some lady came up to me. She was Russian, and she had her and her daughter, and she was like, yo, my daughter loved the video so much. Can we buy a ticket to your show? And I'm like, I curse a lot. Like, the girl was like 6, 7 years old. I was like, yo, like, I be cursing. Like, I don't know if this is a show you want. It's 18 and up. Well, all ages. I was like, but I be cursing. She was like, it's okay. She gonna come anyway. And she bought a ticket for her and her daughter.
That's so
right there
dope.
to the show. So that's number one. The biggest highlight was selling out my headlining show in August. So to accompany
And
the
that was a
release of my
dope
EP,
show.
that shit was crazy. To accompany the release of my EP, Love and Happiness, which I dropped on August 9th, we had a release show on August 17th at Shuba's up north, and we sold it out. And that was my first headliner show. Not only did we sell it out, we oversold the door.
Mm,
And like the cap was 215, we sold 242 tickets.
man,
Um,
that's a blessing.
and bro, it's just like the grind. I had to tap back into like my college handed out mixtapes grind to get people to
Hmm.
buy tickets to that show. I was trapping them fucking tickets, bro. And to just see that whole summer from when I announced it to the day of the show, not only it sold out, but I don't know if you saw this because y'all was in the front, but when we came out to go on stage at 9, they released tickets at 9 o'clock, new tickets at 9 o'clock. It was 15, 20 people standing outside the door, uh, waiting to come in and buy tickets, the tickets that were left over and get in there. And I
Yeah.
think walking down the walkway and seeing all of those people saying hi and like trying to get in. I remember there was a lady who was waiting outside before everybody, and she was like, "Yeah, I really want." She didn't know, she knew me, but she ain't say shit. She knew who I
Hmm.
was, and she was like, she was just looking sad, and I was like, "What's up? What you on?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get in the show, but I wasn't able to get a ticket, and they sold out." And I put her on my list and just let her in. And I
Dope.
think that like just having people waiting and then going on stage and just being able to be myself. My family was there. My grandmother was there. Like that was the biggest encouragement to all of this. It had been a rough summer and a hard summer, a summer full of hard work. And sending out that motherfucker and rocking that motherfucker was the biggest highlight of my career.
And that
No
was
cap.
so dope because I was at the front, and then I think like maybe like halfway through the show, because like I got there, like was one of the first people there, got there
Yeah.
before everybody because somebody told me to be there 30 minutes early, but
Hey,
got
look,
there,
it
turned
sold out.
over.
So you know what I'm saying?
Right. I got there, it went from like being like the six people that I came with and a few others to like I turned around and it
What
was
up, Ace?
full. What's good, Ace? It was like packed out, and that was so dope for me. Just as like experiencing that as like a friend, to
Yeah.
see another one of
Love,
my
bro.
friends accomplish so much, and like, yeah, man, like I'm definitely proud of you. Like the work that you put in, the effort from you, like not even music wise, just as like even as a person, how much you have grown to like this point. Um,
Love, bro.
and like so before we sign off, this is gonna be my new question, my new thing. What
Go.
message can you give to one your younger self, and what message can you give to the rest of the black men out here as far as mental health goes?
Um, Younger self would be don't force it and uh get up, get out. Don't force it and get up, get out. I kind of explained earlier with the whole don't force it thing was I think when I was younger, a lot of my troubles came from me trying to force things to be the way I wanted them to be, instead of stepping back and just accepting them from what they were and trying to adjust in order to survive in those settings. And I think when you try to force and you realize it doesn't work, you're putting more pressure on yourself that's not necessary. Then get up, get out would be because I had a tendency when I used to get sad, I would just sit around.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned in my like literally, it's been times I've been sad, and all I had to do was get up and go hoop or go for a walk, and I was fine. Like a lot of shit is temporary, you know what I'm saying? And you think that shit is the end of the world until you realize everything is temporary. Because sorry, this is real morbid, but it's super real. 150 years from now, none of this shit finna matter. Nothing. None
Yeah.
of us are here. All we have is what we leave. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And if you spend too much time focusing on the now and how shit can't get better, you'll never be able to focus on making it better so you can leave something good for the future. So that would be my advice to the past self. For the guys out there, just do the shit. Like I am very so not a lot of things that like throw me off or like disgust me. But I don't really fuck and I know people be going through their own shit and I respect that. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it when people are not willing to try to better themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um and anybody who ignores things that can better themselves out of selfish pride or out of fear, you're only hurting yourself more in the long run.
Preach on that.
It is so important to just try to get better. I would rather
Yeah.
a motherfucker try a million times and fail. I would rather you go to therapy 5 times and the shit just does not work than to not even do it because you're afraid of what might happen. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
obviously, go at your own pace. But, you know, some people go at their own pace and then they never are able to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like all these old men in our lives, you know what I'm saying? Old black men, 60, 50 years old who are going to die from fucking diabetes and heart problems because they took so long to address those stresses on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be, you know, that was my cat. That would be my advice to men.
Got you. Appreciate you coming on here, brother. It means the world to me because not only just because you're my friend, but you're a fellow black man that has went through a mental health journey and is expressed himself and is trying to get better. And I really appreciate that. So any last words? Tell the people where they can find you. Tell them where they can find your music, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm Matt Muse, Matt Muse 12 on the socials, Instagram, Twitter. My music is available on all platforms. Go listen to Love and Happiness on Apple Music, Spotify, whatever. It's just 6 songs. The project is 20 minutes long, and I guarantee you're gonna fall in love with it when you hear it. And check out Myself. That's just a song about self-love. You can hit the link to that in my bio. The video is right there. And yeah, just want to send, you know, positive vibes to everybody. You know, it's a lot going on right now, and I know that we might be struggling through, but just know it's going to be all right. And, you know, FaceTime a homie if you need it. Like, FaceTimes have gotten me through a lot, you know, since this all started. So whatever you need to do to kind of push through, you ain't got shit but time. So, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Try everything till you see what works, you know? Yeah.
Right. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Mental health is wealth, guys. Take care of yourself. I'm gonna put Mets. Sorry for using the government. I really am sad about that. My bad. This has been knowing you
It's
too
okay.
long.
I say it in the first song on Love and Happiness, so they're gonna find out if they listen.
All right. I'm gonna put the post something about myself on this page so you guys can look at it when I say it's such an inspirational video. And the song, when you hear that song, you can go from like it cheers me up all day, every day. So and the whole album, the whole EP. So everybody check him out. Appreciate you for doing this, brother. I'm gonna holler at you.
Love, bro. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Appreciate you.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.